Picture this. Beirut, 2020. You spent 10 years building your savings. Long hospital shifts, extra weekends, missed holidays. Slowly, carefully, you saved $50,000 in your bank account. The number is still there. You open the app. It still says $50,000. But when you walk into the bank, they tell you that you cannot withdraw dollars, only Lebanese pounds, at the government's official exchange rate, not the real one. Outside, the black market says the currency is collapsing. Inside, the bank says everything is normal. By the time the system finishes with you, your life savings are worth less than a used motorcycle. You did not lose money in the stock market. You did not make a bad investment. You trusted the wrong form of money. That is how economic collapse actually works. Not with explosions, with slow theft disguised as stability. And it has happened again and again. Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Lebanon, Argentina. Different flags, same mathematics. The government spends more than it collects. It borrows. Then it prints. Then the currency starts losing purchasing power. Then people run. And when people run, one question matters more than everything else. What still holds value when money itself starts dying? I went through the financial autopsies, not theory or opinions, historical evidence. And across a century of collapses, 5 assets kept showing up on the survivor list, while others went to zero. Let's start with the most obvious one, and the one most people still do not own: gold. During the Weimar collapse, paper marks became a joke. In 1922, $1 bought 320 marks. By November 1923, it bought 4.2 trillion. A loaf of bread cost billions. People carried cash in wheelbarrows. By the time you reached the bakery counter, prices had changed again. If you held paper money, you were destroyed. Total wipeout. But if you held gold, something strange happened. An ounce of gold bought roughly the same basket of goods before, during, and after the hyperinflation. The currency changed. Gold did not. Same pattern in Zimbabwe. Same in Venezuela. Same in Turkey right now, where citizens rushed into gold deposit accounts as inflation accelerated. People think gold is about getting rich. It is not. Gold is about not getting wiped out. It is monetary insurance. You do not buy insurance because it is exciting. You buy it because eventually something burns. The second survivor is foreign hard currency. When local money starts dying, people do not stop trading. They change currencies. Lebanon proved this brutally. People who held Lebanese pounds watched their purchasing power collapse by more than 95%. Same salary, same bank balance, but a different reality. People who held physical US dollars outside the banking system kept their purchasing power. They could still buy food, still pay rent, still leave if they had to. This is why countries quietly dollarized themselves. Zimbabwe, Argentina, Venezuela, even Cambodia. People stop trusting local money and start using something stronger. Because when your own currency becomes the problem, survival means using someone else's. The third survivor surprises people: productive business ownership. Stocks. Most people assume stock markets die during collapse. Sometimes they do. But a stock is not a number on a screen. It is ownership. Factories, equipment, land, inventory, real output. In Venezuela, while the currency collapsed, the stock market exploded upward. Why? Because it took more worthless currency units to buy the same real assets. The company did not magically become better. The money became worse. But there is a trap here. Not all businesses survive equally. A company trapped inside a collapsing local economy can still die. But a company with export revenue, foreign customers, hard assets, or pricing power can survive and sometimes benefit. That is the difference. Domestic paper businesses burn. Real productive businesses with international revenue often survive. That is why smart money buys ownership, not promises. The fourth survivor is not glamorous. Useful goods. Food, fuel, medicine, batteries, soap, water filters, basic tools. When money fails completely, barter returns. After World War II in Germany, cigarettes became money. Not because people suddenly loved smoking, but because cigarettes had the properties money needed. Portable, divisible, recognizable, and trusted. People traded cigarettes for food, transport, and services because they trusted them more than the official currency. In Venezuela, fishermen traded fish for flour. Medicine became more valuable than cash. Fuel became currency. This is not a long-term investment strategy. You are not building generational wealth with canned beans. But during acute collapse, useful goods buy time, and time is everything. The fifth survivor is productive land, especially agricultural land, because no matter what happens to currencies, humans still need calories. During the Great Depression, farm families often survived better than urban families because they could produce food: milk, eggs, vegetables, meat. They could eat without depending entirely on cash. In Venezuela, productive farmland held value because food remained real, even while money became fiction. But land has a serious weakness. It cannot move. Gold can move. Dollars can move. Land stays where politicians can find it. Zimbabwe showed that clearly. Land seizures destroyed entire farming operations overnight. Ownership disappeared because the rules changed. That is the danger. Land is powerful, but only if property rights survive with it. Now let's talk about what goes to zero, because knowing what dies matters just as much. First, bonds, government bonds, fixed income. Any promise to pay you later in the same currency that is being destroyed today. This is one of the fastest paths to total loss. In Weimar, Germany, bondholders were paid back exactly as promised, in worthless marks. Argentina did the same. The paper promise survived. The value did not. That is the trap. You were not protected because you were a creditor. You were first in line to be paid in broken money. Second, savings accounts inside the failing system. This is the cruelest one, because it destroys disciplined people. People who worked, saved, and avoided speculation, trusted the bank. In Lebanon, families with life savings in the banking system watched decades of work evaporate. Not because they made reckless decisions, because they believed cash in a bank was safety. History says otherwise. The money did not disappear. Its purchasing power did. That is the real violence of inflation. You do not lose your money loses you. So what is the lesson? Not panic. Not hiding in a bunker with gold bars. The lesson is diversification that actually means something. Not 5 stocks in the same country. Not 3 savings accounts in the same currency. Real diversification means different forms of value. Some portable, some productive, some outside your domestic system, and some protected from political failure. Because every currency collapse follows the same lie. People believe it cannot happen here, until it does. Every failed currency once looked permanent. Every destroyed saver once believed the number in their bank account was real wealth. And every government said the system was stable right before it broke. That is the pattern, and patterns matter. The 5 assets that survived collapse were not exciting: gold, hard currency, productive businesses, useful goods, and productive land. They survived because they represented something real. The things that went to zero were promises. Bonds, cash savings, paper safety. That is the difference. The question is not whether economic collapse is possible. History already answered that. The real question is whether your wealth is built on promises or on things that still matter when promises break.